You know what's crazy? There's a book in the Bible that's only 2 chapters long, yet it contains one of the most powerful messages about priorities, purpose, and divine timing that you'll ever encounter. Most people have never even heard of the Book of Haggai. But this ancient prophet delivered a message so relevant to our modern lives that it'll make you completely rethink how you approach your goals and dreams. Picture this. You're working your tail off, grinding every single day, but somehow you never seem to get ahead. Your bank account stays empty, your relationships suffer, and deep down you know something fundamental is wrong with your approach to life. That's exactly what was happening to God's people 2,500 years ago, and the solution Haggai provided will absolutely blow your mind. Let me paint the scene for you. It's 520 BC, and the Jewish people have just returned from 70 years of exile in Babylon. They're finally back in their homeland, Jerusalem, ready to rebuild their lives and restore their temple. But here's where things get interesting and incredibly relatable to our modern struggles. They started with the best intentions. They began rebuilding the temple, which was the center of their spiritual and cultural life. But then life happened. Opposition arose. Economic pressures mounted. They got discouraged, overwhelmed, and guess what they did? They stopped working on what mattered most and started focusing on their personal comfort instead. Sound familiar? How many times have you started something important, hit some resistance, and then shifted your energy to easier, more immediate gratifications? This is where Haggai enters the story like a spiritual life coach with a divine mandate. God raises up this prophet to deliver 4 specific messages over a 4-month period, and each message hits like a lightning bolt of truth. The first message comes on the first day of the 6th month, and Haggai doesn't waste any time with pleasantries. He delivers what might be the most convicting question in all of Scripture. Is it time for you to dwell in your paneled houses while this house lies in ruins? Think about the weight of that question. These people had returned from exile and immediately started building beautiful, comfortable homes for themselves. They had cedar paneling, luxury finishes, all the creature comforts they could want. Meanwhile, God's house remained a pile of rubble. They had their priorities completely backwards. But here's what makes this message so powerful for us today. Haggai isn't just talking about a physical building. He's addressing the fundamental human tendency to prioritize our immediate comfort over our ultimate purpose. How many of us spend our time, energy, and resources building our own little kingdoms while neglecting the very things that would bring us lasting fulfillment and meaning? The prophet then delivers one of the most psychologically astute observations in all of ancient literature. He describes their situation perfectly. You have sown much and harvested little. You eat, but you never have enough. You drink, but you never have your fill. You clothe yourselves, but no one is warm. And he who earns wages does so to put them into a bag with holes. This is the frustration cycle that so many people experience today. You work harder and harder, but somehow you never get ahead. You achieve goals, but they don't satisfy you. You accumulate stuff, but it doesn't fill the emptiness inside. Haggai identified this pattern thousands of years ago and provided the solution. The problem wasn't their work ethic or their abilities. The problem was their priorities. When we put our personal comfort and immediate desires ahead of our deeper purpose and calling, everything else suffers. It's like trying to fill a bucket with a hole in the bottom. But here's where the story gets really exciting. The people actually listened to Haggai's message. Within 23 days of hearing his first prophecy, they restart work on the temple. They realign their priorities and put first things first. And that's when Haggai delivers his second message, and this one will give you chills. God says through the prophet, "I am with you," just 3 simple words, but they contain infinite power and comfort. When we align our lives with divine purpose, we're never working alone. The third message comes about 2 months later, and it addresses a very human concern. Some of the older people remembered Solomon's original temple in all its glory, and compared to that magnificent structure, their current efforts looked pretty pathetic. They were getting discouraged by comparison. Haggai's response is absolutely brilliant. He essentially says, don't worry about how it looks right now. God is going to shake the heavens and the earth, and the glory of this latter house will be greater than the former. Sometimes what looks small and insignificant in the present is actually the foundation for something magnificent in the future. This is such a crucial message for anyone feeling like their current efforts are too small or insignificant. You might be working on something that doesn't look impressive compared to others, but faithfulness in small things leads to extraordinary outcomes. The fourth and final message is deeply personal and prophetic. Haggai speaks directly to Zerubbabel, the governor, and gives him a promise that his lineage will be significant in God's plan. This isn't just about political leadership. It's about understanding that each person has a unique role to play in the bigger story. But let's talk about the deeper psychological and spiritual principles that make Haggai's message so relevant today. First, there's the principle of priority alignment. When your daily actions align with your deepest values and purpose, everything else starts falling into place. It's not magic. It's the natural result of focused energy and divine blessing. Second, there's the community aspect. Notice that the people didn't rebuild the temple as individuals pursuing personal goals. They worked together toward a shared vision that was bigger than any one person. In our individualistic culture, we often forget that the most meaningful achievements happen through collective effort toward noble purposes. Third, there's the timing element. The people had been back in Jerusalem for about 16 years before Haggai's message came. Sometimes it takes years of struggle and frustration before we're ready to hear the truth about our misplaced priorities. But when the message comes at the right time, transformation can happen incredibly quickly. The Book of Haggai also reveals something profound about how God works in our lives. He doesn't usually force us to change through external circumstances alone. Instead, he raises up voices, messages, and insights that help us see our situation clearly and choose transformation voluntarily. Perhaps most importantly, Haggai shows us that it's never too late to realign your priorities and start building something meaningful. These people had wasted 16 years focusing on the wrong things, but the moment they refocused, God blessed their efforts beyond their imagination. So here's my challenge for you. Look at your life right now with Haggai's penetrating honesty. Are you building your paneled house while your temple lies in ruins? Are you putting your energy into things that ultimately leave you feeling empty and frustrated? What would it look like to realign your priorities with your deeper purpose? The Book of Haggai might be short, but its message is life-changing. Sometimes the most powerful truths come in small packages. In just 2 chapters, this ancient prophet gives us a blueprint for breaking free from the frustration cycle and building something that matters. Remember, when you put first things first, everything else has a way of falling into place. The question is, what's your temple, and when are you going to start rebuilding it?